with a very positive response to the adversity of slumping bats and nagging injuries, with a pair of homers and a bullpen-saving performance on the mound. Well, the Rangers seem poised to meet the next challenge. That challenge is Minnesota. The Twins are led by Gelman Young and Joe Mauer, and they're on quite a run right now. It's propelled them beyond the Rangers in the best record department. These teams pushing towards the final month of the year. Now a 4-game series in front of them. The Rangers and the Twins begin a battle between division leaders. Another measuring stick, a matchup of the best in the West and the best in the Central. Fox Sports Southwest presents this pivotal series. It's the Rangers and the Twins from the ballpark coming up next. Back at the ballpark in Arlington, the Rangers happy to be here, entertaining Minnesota. Guarantee you it's not 102 anywhere in the state of Minnesota. But that's what we have here in Arlington. The Rangers settling in, welcoming the Twins for 4. And we welcome you to Texas Ranger Baseball on a hot night tonight, along with Tom Green. I'm Josh Lewin. In Minnesota, they are championing the cause of Joe Mauer for MVP. The Rangers obviously like their guy, Josh Hamilton. We thought we'd go right to the statistical tail of the tape.
Well, these are certainly 2 of the 3 candidates. Robinson Cano would be the other. All 3 can lay claim to it because they're all playing on contenders. All 3 are having great years. Joe Mauer was the MVP last year. He's having another great season. He has more doubles, fewer home runs. Josh Hamilton, who we would definitely lean toward. OPS numbers are much higher, leading the league in hitting, playing great defense. Mauer's a catcher, also a premium defensive position. Really 2 great players all around, not just hitting, but defensively as well.
2 former number 1 picks in the nation, and they are the headline acts. The Rangers have a wonderful supporting cast as well, including Vladimir Guerrero. The Rangers opening the homestand against the Twins when we come back. Rich Harden and Matt Trainer. Neither man was on the active roster yesterday, but they both come off the DL to team up together tonight. For more on that, we go to Dana Larson.
Yeah, that battery is fresh off the disabled list today, and catcher Matt Trainer said he wasn't exactly shocked to be in the starting lineup right away, but he was surprised to learn that Rich Harden had requested him, and Ron Washington was happy to oblige.
I caught him actually my second start out, so I caught him, and he pitched really well. I don't know about the comfort level. I feel comfortable with most of these guys, but for the most part, I think we have a good game plan, and I got a real good feel for him. So if there was any decision, that's probably why he asked.
Matt Trainer, our Geico quote of the game. Of course, Trainer and Harden's activation off the DL, two of the many roster moves for the Rangers today. We'll have updates on that throughout the game. Of course, we'll also see you right after the game for Rangers Live. Josh, back to you.
Thank you, Dana. Stay cool down there. The umpires were late in getting out tonight. I'm sure they were not eager to leave the air-conditioned comfort of the umpire's room. Rich Harden very happy to be back on a Major League mound. He hasn't been on this particular mound tag since June the 6th. Been a lot of time on the DL for Harden, on and off the DL. Now, taking on this Twins batting order tonight, Denard Span and Orlando Hudson set up the MVP candidate Joe Mauer. His last 2 weeks have been fantastic. Justin Morneau is still out. Jason Kubel goes cleanup with Michael Kadire batting 5th. Jim Thome at 581 home runs batting 6th. Delman Young, Danny Valencia, the rookie third baseman, and then the former Brewer, J.J. Hardy. And back to Rich Harden. Can't call it necessarily a make or break start, I guess, Tag, but it's an important start for sure for Rich Harden. Suzuki scouts him out.
I think when you're in a pennant race and it's this late in the season, every start is important for every starter. And Rich is right in there with everybody else. He's had 15 starts this year. Fewer hits than innings pitched, but obviously too many walks. His last rehab start was a solid start at AAA, 6 innings, only 3 hits, 10 strikeouts. And if you look at Rich's numbers, he's pitched much better at home than he has on the road. His ERA is under 4 at home, 6.5 on the road. And the 6.5 ERA in the road includes his 2 best starts of the year at Oakland, at Anaheim, 14 innings combined and only 1 run. So in the other road starts, he has really struggled, but he's pitched pretty well in this ballpark. We'll see if it works out well for him tonight.
Scott Feldman goes on the DL with a bone bruise in his knee to make room for Harden tonight. Defensively, it's Hamilton in left, Borbon in center, Murphy in right. Young, Andrews, Blanco, and Moreland. That's become a pretty decent little infield for the Rangers defensively with Kinsler still out. Matt Trainer, we mentioned catching for Rich Harden, and Matt Trainer exactly a month out of service. He spent the last week rehabbing that PCL in the PCL for the Oklahoma City team. The original thought was he'd be out about 2 or 3 weeks, and it ended up being 4. Of course, he and Kinsler's been out for a while. Nelly Cruz is on the DL. The Rangers make him do right now, and they've got an 8-game lead in the West.
And I think with Matt, one of the things that happened that allowed the Rangers to maybe make sure he was healthy rather than rush him back was Taylor Teagarden got a chance to play in the last 6 or 7 games he's played really well defensively and offensively. I'm sure Taylor will be back up here in September.
Yeah, which is only 8 days away. Harden begins 2-0. And one thing we should mention right off the bat is our tracker is not operating tonight. Normally we put that rectangle up and we can see exactly how good that home plate umpire is. But you know what? It's Jim Joyce back there tonight anyway, and he's one of the best in the biz. Certainly the loudest in the biz. You'll hear that strike call resonate through this ballpark tonight. That same pitch every time. He's consistent, that high D. Two in a row called by Mr. Joyce, who had that fleeting fame he did not want a couple of months ago, that Armando Galarraga perfect game that wasn't.
I'll see if Rich can come all the way back from a 3-0 count. Span taking all the way, trying to make him throw 3 strikes. And he did.
Yep, Bourbon is ready for it in center. First out in the books on the homestand. Up comes Orlando Hudson.
Yeah, good job by Rich right there. He didn't miss by much with a 2-0 pitch. Then came back and threw 3 straight strikes. A little weak fly ball to center by Span.
Minnesota got in around 3 a.m. having played the night game last night home against the Angels. They shut out the Angels, and Hudson had a couple of hits in that game. Minnesota has actually pitched 11 shutouts this year. It's the most in the AL. But their starter tonight is a guy with an ERA of about 6.5. It is Nick Blackburn. Twins had a 7-2 homestand. They have surged to a 72-52 record. They're suddenly up 5 in the AL Central. They had been down by 2.5 just about 4 weeks ago.
Oh, when you look at their lineup, they've got Danny Valencia batting 8th. He's been called up from the minor leagues. He's hitting up close to 330. Their lineup is really solid all the way through it.
Ron Gardenhire, year in, year out, gets his team ready to play.
Rich is going to try the same thing with Hudson that he had with Span. A 3-0 count, and see if he can come all the way back to get him. See if Hudson is taking all the way 3-1, just like Span was.
Here is Harden to Hudson. The script is being followed from 3-0 to 3-2. Now we need a fly ball to center field. Foul ball. Jim Joyce made sure that it stayed right there. We've got officially tag 100 degrees at game time tonight.
It was 108 in my car coming to the ballpark at about 3:30.
I would have loved to have been in your car. Mine said 113 when I pulled out of the driveway, but I park in the sunshine. So again, it's a shock to the system for these Minnesotans who have been playing in warm but not this warm weather back home. It was 85 actually this past weekend in Minneapolis, St. Paul. But whatever the weather, Ron Gardenhire's team, really no issues again. Year in, year out. There's that fly ball to center.
Well, he's on 3-0 counts. He hasn't thrown with 3 balls. He hasn't thrown a ball yet. He's thrown 8 straight strikes with 3 balls on the hitter, and none with less than 3 balls on the hitter.
Why put that pressure on yourself?
I think they ought to just put 3-0 on the scoreboard right now.
Hudson sent packing, and now Joe Mauer comes up. The first ever catcher to win an American League batting title. He did that in 06. Then he did it again in 08 and again in 09. So just get that straight. No one had ever done it. Then Mauer does it 3 of the last 4 years.
And the reason he hits for such a good average, and the obvious reasons, he uses the whole field. He's got a short swing. He doesn't swing and miss very much. He's got a very good eye at the plate.
Always comfortable taking that first one, even if it does go to 0-1. Now it's 0-2. Joe Mauer, it appears, will not win a batting title this year, although he is hitting .330 and has been coming on of late.
The other thing he does that allows him to win a batting championship 3 times, he hits left-handed pitching.
Yep.
Very little in the way of problems against left-handed pitching for a left-hander. In fact, he and Morneau are the same in that regard.
Close
Lefties
right there.
batting back-to-back in the middle of the lineup, and you really don't have the luxury of starting a lefty or bringing a lefty in to face him, because both those guys hit left-handed pitching so well.
Got him. Struck out Joe Mauer. That's a nice statement to make. Rich Harden striking out Mauer. Here comes Elvis. No score. Ford F-150. Check out the 2010 F-150 and drive one. Ford is the best in Texas. By Progressive. For a money-saving car insurance quote, call 1-800-PROGRESSIVE. And by Jack in the Box. Get Jack's really big chicken sandwich combo for only $3.99 plus tax. Elvis Andrus to lead it off for Ron Washington's Rangers. Texas 69-54 and up 8 in the AL West. Andrus, Young, and Hamilton. Guerrero, Murphy, and Traynor. Moreland, Blanco, and Bourbon. We got the Del City, Oklahoma native on the mound, Nick Blackburn. He of the diabolical 6.66 ERA. We're scouting him out courtesy of Suzuki.
It's really been a strange year for Blackburn, who had a tremendous month of May. He was 5-0 in the month of May, and since then he really has not pitched well. He hasn't pitched well on the road. He had to go back to the minor leagues where he had 4 starts. And this is his return to the big leagues. They just signed Blackburn to a big 4-year contract extension in spring training. And he's coming off 2 very solid seasons, 2 very consistent seasons, Josh. I know when you look at these 2 seasons, you'll be very pleased to look at the symmetry between the 2.
Symmetry is the right word. 11-11 in 08 and 09. ERA one year was 4.05, the other was 4.03. 39 walks versus 41, 96 strikeouts versus 98.
33 starts both years.
Yeah. It's like what Vinny Castilla did for the Rockies back-to-back years in Colorado. He had the exact same batting average, home runs, and RBI in consecutive seasons, which for a guy who bats 600 times, that's incredible.
That is.
304, 40/113 both years for Castilla.
How about Stan Musial? Had the exact same amount of hits in his career at home as he did on the road.
Love that. Andrus grounding out. Michael Young comes up.
Blackburn was a 29th round draft choice back in 2001. He went to Seminole State Junior College.
Good program.
Went to high school in Oklahoma. He was the Twins' #1 prospect entering the 2008 season.
Isn't that something? A guy that was a 29th round pick, and they've brought up a guy now named Anthony Slamma, who's in their bullpen. He was a 39th round pick and recently had that same distinction, the best pitching prospect they could offer. So when you're getting that out of your number 29 and number 39 pick, that's
pretty good.
Wow.
Well, Blackburn's a sinker ball pitcher. He's not a strikeout pitcher. He's a control pitcher. And I think when you see how he struggled after the month of May, you must get a pretty good idea that his sinker has not been sinking the way it normally does. Probably having a hard time keeping the ball down.
Twins used to have, and obviously Ranger fans will remember Bob Tewksbury, and everybody said that when Blackburn's really on, that's the kind of game he's throwing. Into Michael Young for strike 3.
Pretty good at 94 miles an hour right there.
Let's see how he handles Mr. Hamilton, though. That'll be next.
Looks like a pretty good pitch. Definitely caught the corner. I think Michael knew it. Well-located pitch right there for Blackburn. Blackburn had an ERA of 10.17 in June and 9.87 in July. And that led to a demotion to the minor leagues.
Hamilton's slow roller and charging it as Hudson was playing way back. He can't get rid of it. Hamilton, a head-first dive that was kind of a moot point. We've seen Kinsler play back there for David Ortiz. Hudson was playing there for Josh Hamilton, and that positioning cost the O-Dog right there.
Well, very seldom do you see an infielder play out in the middle of the outfield in right field with a guy who can run like Hamilton. He could beat out a routine ground ball to second base. And I'd be shocked if over 162 games he didn't get more hits with the second baseman playing out in right field than they would take away from him by being out there. I kind of like seeing the second baseman that far out in right field against Josh. A great example why. There's no way they can throw him out on any ball hit to his right. Just won't have time to get the ball and throw it the way Josh gets to first base. One thing with Ortiz, because he doesn't run very well, or Tomei or someone like that, that you can take advantage of it, but Josh doesn't seem like the kind of guy that you gain any advantage by playing out there.
And the Rangers traditionally, you'd have to say, Tag, don't seem like the kind of team that would lead the majors in infield hits.
No,
but they have done that this year.
Not at all.
Vladimir Guerrero has been heating up. He's ahead 2-0. And taps one past the mound. Smothered it short, and again, a fielder just can't get rid of it. J.J. Hardy had it and could not unload it. It's two infield singles to bring up David Murphy.
And even if he got rid of it, he wasn't going to get Josh at second base. It was a nice play, probably to keep Josh from going to third base. With 2 outs, that's not that critical, but Josh has a good lead, a good jump, and he's going to be safe no matter what Hardy did. David Murphy have a chance to drive in a run right here.
Here's a look at it from the Exmo cam. Look at that ball spinning.
I love that shot. Not a hard hit ball, and that's why J.J. Hardy was able to go over and keep it from going into the outfield. How about the call early in the game right here?
Right now, David Murphy.
Yep.
Second straight game where the Rangers go up in the first on a 3-run homer from a lefty.
Keep those 3-run homers coming. It's David's turn anyway.
Now the Rangers jumping out early in Baltimore on Kevin Millwood yesterday. Millwood has allowed 39 first inning runs now this year. The record for the last 40 years anyway is Don Sutton at 40.
He's given up at least 2 in 12 of his last 16 starts.
It's amazing. With a lot still to do this year, Millwood looks like will pass Don Sutton for that little slice of something he does not want.
Yeah, for Kevin, through 9 games, he hadn't given up a run in the first inning.
Hard to believe Millwood is 2-14. He has yet to beat an American League team this year. His 2 wins against the NL.
The Rangers had a 3-0 lead after 7 pitches.
And added another 3-run homer from Vlad Guerrero later. Won that game 6-4 yesterday. Tommy Hunter, 8 innings. No walks, no strikeouts.
Oh, what a nice improvement by Tommy. Threw his 2-seam fastball, made it sink, hit the corners.
Murphy, called by Tom Grieve, is going to send one deep to center. It is off the top of the wall. Murphy's going to get a triple out of this. The Rangers will score 2, and you, sir, were an inch away from being a genius.
That's just not right. We would have had to call in back-to-back games. You called Vladdy's, right?
I did.
That would have been back-to-back games. You talk about being on a hot streak.
How about David Murphy going up 3-1? He hit the very top of the wall out there. Denard Span leaping, couldn't get it. All of this happening with 2 out. 2 infield hits and then a triple. Man, is that close.
Well, the bad part is it didn't go out. The good part is Span didn't catch it.
Oh my
Just
goodness.
didn't quite get his glove there. They're going to talk and see if this is a home run, I guess, right?
This will be the angle that shows you. Nope. Hit that front wall. But Murphy has made it 2-0. Rich Harden's granted the lead. Remember, there was a home run earlier this year that was called incorrectly, called a double, one that Josh Hamilton hit, where they did not go to replay.
And it definitely hit the top of the padding and came back. Span gave it a pretty good shot.
Well, the umpires have not yet seen the view we just had, and they are going to go off and take a look. Maybe just because there's air conditioning down there where they're going to go look.
Well, I think it's the safest thing to do. If you have a manager that goes out and argues, let's face it, it's not an easy thing to see for an umpire from ground level. You see the fielder jump. You don't know exactly where it hit. You think you do. But it's only going to take them a minute and a half to go in and see exactly what we're looking at right here. And that is the ball hitting right off the top of the wall and coming back. Boy, maybe 2 more inches and that's a home run. A little bit too much of a line drive, not enough of a fly ball. But certainly a well-hit ball. Actually, if it was more of a fly ball and hit in the same spot, Span would have had more time to get back and might have been able to catch it. The fact that it was a line drive like it was caused Span to get there right about the same time that the ball got there, and he just couldn't get his glove up to meet the ball as it hit the top of the wall. Hard hit ball by David.
Well, and David Murphy continues to reward the confidence of his manager, Ron Washington, the former Minnesota Twin, has been running David out there every game since the All-Star break. And this will be, as you said, a pretty easy decision for these umpires. It is a triple.
And David continues to get big hits, no doubt about it.
Big 2-out hits.
Good spot for Matt Trainer in his first at-bat in a month. And a man on third base, chance to add to the lead.
Matt, on his rehab assignment, or in the time he's been on the DL, has lost 2 pounds and gained 5 digits on his uniform. He's gone from number 15 to number 20. Brandon McCarthy's old number.
2 infield hits and a triple. And so you could say the shift on Hamilton has cost them 2 runs this inning.
You're right. And 2 infield hits and a triple, by the way. That sounds like the Twins at the Metrodome, not the Rangers in this ballpark. Trainer down the line, testing out that PCL right now. Appears to be running okay. David Murphy's 2-out, 2-run triple as the Rangers on top. 2, we go to Jim Knox.
All right, thanks, Josh. Community Corner tonight. Look who we have here. Why, it's Tess Kinsler, the wife of Ian Kinsler, here to talk about getting healthy with Ian Kinsler. What's this all about, Tess?
Yes. Brookshire McCormick was very giving, and they sponsored us for the Ian Kinsler growth chart. It measures 2 to 6 feet, and at the bottom it has healthy eating tips for all ages. It's $10 and includes sales tax, and all of the proceeds go to the Texas Rangers Foundation, as well as the ELISA Project, which is a foundation set up to help eliminate eating disorders.
So you can get this where?
You can go to TexasRangers.com, the Grand Slam gift shop, or you can even go to the foundation booth on the main level.
There we go. All right, Tess, appreciate that, and best of luck with this. This looks like a great deal for the kids. Thank you very much, Josh.
Thank you, Jim. And thanks to Tess, and obviously everybody hoping that actual Ian, not the two-dimensional version, but the 3D version of Ian, will be out there very soon.
Yeah, evidently, Ian's going to have an MRI tomorrow, and hopefully that MRI will be the green light to up the workouts. And we'll keep our fingers crossed on that. Probably not crossed as much as Ian has him crossed. I know he wants to get back.
Oh, remember, he missed the entire month of April with that knee problem. Well, this is just the latest setback. He's been on the DL 6 times in 5 years in the big leagues. Two and 1 to Jason Kubel. And Harden squares it now at 2-2. Harden kind of par for the course there, Tom, in the first inning. 18 pitches. Only faced 3 batters, but had to get through 18 pitches.
Well, I'll take the 18 pitches and the 3 up, 3 down. He was 3-0 on the first 2 hitters and came back and got both of them.
Anytime you strike out Joe Mauer looking, I think you absolutely take that.
Yep, and a good fastball. 94 miles an hour right on the outside corner to Mauer.
By a full pitch per inning, Rich Harden works the hardest. That's in the major leagues. We had heard in spring training a lot of talk about making sure that Rich Harden was going to be around for innings 6, 7, and or 8, and the way to do that would be to keep that inning by inning pitch total down. Embracing the pitch to contact philosophy was Mr. Tommy Hunter yesterday. We've already talked about it a bit. Becoming only the 2nd Ranger ever, Tom, to go 8 innings with no walks and no strikeouts. John Matlack did it back in 1979.
Well, you can be successful when you pitch to contact, when you make the pitches that Tommy made yesterday. A good sinker. He jammed the hitters with it. He threw his cutter, threw some changeups. Bottom line was he had good location. Might have been a tad inside right there with that changeup.
He strikes out Kubel, and again it took a while, but you're not going to quarrel with the results here. It's been 4 up, 4 down.
When you watch Rich's last pitch, it looks just like a slider. And he swears that that's a changeup. It's just the way he grips it and the way it comes out of his hand. That was a changeup. You could tell by the grip on his hand. So even though it's a changeup grip and he throws it like a changeup, the way it looks, you could easily call it a slider.
Yeah, it's got that little dog leg left that just kind of has that natural movement on it.
And the biggest thing it does, it changes speeds and fools the hitter.
This one fouled by Kadire.
Kadire had a nice season for the Twins last year. He had 32 home runs, knocked in 94 runs. The Twins have a lot of hitters like that in their lineup.
Replacing Justin Morneau at first base, doing well there too. A check swing foul. Well, the Twins last year without Morneau were able to get to the postseason. The Rangers trying to get to the postseason. They've got the magic number tote board working out there. Any combination of Ranger wins and, well, Oakland or Angel losses right now. Outside of Kadire, 2-2. There's been the other sign in right field this year, counting down towards, or counting up, I guess, towards 92 wins. That's the prediction that Nolan Ryan had. It was 92. The Rangers are at 69. And there's one lonely bedsheet banner in right field for some reason saying hello to somebody named Drew. And that's your bedsheet banner update for the night. Boy, again, you can't say anything bad about what's happening now. Rich Harden has been 5 up, 5 down, just struck out the 3, 4, 5 batters.
He's going to get Kadire with a changeup that, again, looks like a slider going down and away. Kadire couldn't lay off it on the 3-2 count. So Rich has faced 5 hitters, and 4 of them have had 3-2 counts. Well, the only one that didn't was Joe Mauer.
Right, and you know, again, this is not to diminish what's happened, but the concern is it's been 7 pitches per batter on average right now.
One of the Rangers' strengths has been their bullpen, and if throwing this many pitches causes Rich not to be able to pitch deep in the game, yet the quality of the results are what they are so far, we'll take it. Turn it over to the bullpen.
Well, just the other day, the Twins had a situation where they had a pitcher go 7 innings of no-hit baseball. And because of concerns of a pitch count, and that was a pitcher who was coming back from an arm injury, Ron Gardenhire made an unpopular decision with his fan base, shutting down Kevin Slowey after 7 innings of no-hit ball.
And now Kevin Slowey's on the disabled list, too, so it looks like he had the right idea.
Jim Thome always makes you work up there. A check swing foul by him. What a great pickup for Minnesota, huh? That veteran presence, great guy. 581 home runs.
He had a huge home run to beat his former team, the White Sox, about a week ago. Rangers put the shift on against Thome. Blanco is in about the same place that Hudson was when Hamilton hit. Difference is the running speed.
Here's Andrews, and it looks like he's the second baseman, right? But with that shift, at 6-3, and Rich Harden 6 up, 6 down against Minnesota. This year, you can take the Rangers with you. Subscribe to MLB.tv. See every Rangers game live or on demand on your computer. Go to TexasRangers.com to order or to get more details. On a hot night at the ballpark tonight, a David Murphy first inning triple as the Rangers on top. Mitch Moreland, Andres Blanco, and Julio Borbon in the bottom of the second against the Oklahoma native, now a Denton, Texas resident, Nick Blackburn. Moreland had it in on the fist. This ball's going to just plop down. It's the third infield hit for the Rangers. They've only batted 7 times.
Once that ball bounced, it was all over.
It just sat down, and Moreland had to do the claw and the antlers right there. Claw for the hit. The antlers for the punishing speed, allowing him to reach.
He doesn't even know where the ball is. It's a nice play by Valencia. Just didn't have much of a chance to get him.
That is a sheepish first baseman right there, Mitch Moreland.
Well, he'll probably hit a line drive sometime soon that's caught, and it'll all even out.
Now Blanco showing bunt, and it's foul. Check the peanut gallery here. Nelly Cruz, Guzman. I wish Nelly would just loosen up and have some fun, you know. Blanco getting his 11th consecutive start. Again with Kinsler and Guzman both on the DL. First of a 4-game series, and this is potentially an October preview. These are two teams that are in position to be in the playoffs here in 2010. Minnesota's still got to look over their shoulder, take care of the White Sox. Rangers have 2 pursuers. The A's and the Angels are both 8 out. And Tom, isn't that something? The Rangers can go 2-5 on a road trip and lose half a game in the standings.
Yeah, they've been fortunate. If they do play the Twins, it can't be in the first round, but hopefully we will play the Twins. That'll mean we got through the first round.
Runner goes. Blanco literally throwing the bat at the ball, trying to protect Moreland. Moreland is out.
They sniffed out the hit and run right there.
And Joe Mauer guns it down there. Watch Blanco.
You know on that play that if you can somehow make the bat hit the ball, you'll save an out, because the runner is not trying to steal the base. Mitch is obviously not a base stealer. And if you're not able to tick the ball with the bat, you know he's going to be thrown out with Mauer behind home plate. The best I've ever seen at that was Cookie Rojas.
Is that right?
Yeah, Cookie Rojas. I saw probably at least a couple of times over his career throw the bat at the ball and actually tick the ball and save the runner on a pitch out. He could really handle the bat well.
Blanco foul down here at third.
Blanco, the first pitch was sacrifice bunting, although he jabbed at it almost like he was trying to bunt for a base hit. Second pitch, no play was on. He took it, and then the third play was the hit and run, and the Twins sniffed it out.
Look out! Blanco almost knocks the cap off the head of Blackburn. He didn't get the bunt down, but he did almost decapitate the pitcher.
I think that ball hit him. It did, because as hard as that was hit, it wasn't rolling that fast when it got to center field.
Maybe somewhere up on the shoulder blade area.
Well, it was high, so it had to be somewhere high on his body. But that ball, as hard as it was hit, would have been rolling, I think, harder than that when it got to center field. Off his glove. Thank goodness it was off his glove. Otherwise, that was right straight at his head.
Man, I'd be right. Putting that glove up.
Wow. That's scary.
Actually, he might have been able. He might have gotten his head underneath it. He was ducking. His glove was actually higher than his head. He was in position, fielding position, to do that. A lot of pitchers, the way they fall off the mound, aren't able to get their glove up to block their face like that.
Do you ponder another hit and run even though you just failed miserably at one, or no?
Yeah. You know, you got a little faster runner at first base. Bullpen handles the bat okay.
Blackburn is very quick to the plate. Has allowed only one steal all year. Won his first 101 innings this year without allowing one.
It's more difficult right now to bunt. Bullpen has had a couple of drag bunts toward first base in the last week. Difficult to do with the first baseman holding on the runner. You've got to get it past the pitcher and make the first baseman field it on a ball hit slowly enough that he can't just throw to second base and get the runner. So it's probably not a smart thing to try to drag a bunt with the first baseman holding on the runner. You could make him field it to where you could beat him to first base, but he might be able to force the runner at second base. Definitely hard to do with a left-handed throwing first baseman.
Well, they did not start Blanco, and it cost the Rangers a 4-6-3 double play. Interesting inning. The Rangers do not score. It's a 2-0 lead at the end of 2. Brought to you by the Ford F-150. Ford is the best in Texas. Also by Geico, where 15 minutes can save you 15% on car insurance. And by AT&T. See what's new from AT&T. Go to att.com for details. Trying to remember, or just trying to figure out why, during that last commercial break, Tom, Chuck Morgan had fired up on the PA system here, the theme from the Mary Tyler Moore Show. And then I remembered, the Minnesota Twins are in town. That was, of course, where Mary worked at.
I never would have made the connection.
I just got that. And now if Delman Young throws his cap in the air, I don't think he's going to do that. Then everybody would know what that was all about. 2-0 the count.
They would?
Well, I'd help. I'd
okay.
Let them know that during the opening credits, Mary tossed her hat in the air and spun around. You never seen that statue in Minneapolis? There's a statue of Mary Tyler Moore throwing her hat in the air.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never seen that.
2 blocks from the hotel.
I used to watch that show, but I don't remember her throwing her hat in the air because I wasn't quite as observant.
Remember Ted Baxter?
Oh, yeah.
The famous broadcaster school. 2-1 the count to Young. Valencia and Hardy to follow. And the Rangers with a David Murphy reviewed triple for 2 runs batted in. 4 games now between the Rangers and the Twins this year, Tag. They've gone to the video replay in 3 of those 4 games. Trying to figure out if something was a home run.
I like the fact that they're willing to do that. It's part of the game now. And the bottom line is the umpires are working hard to get it right. And that's a good thing. Sometimes it goes against you, but the bottom line is when you go review it, you come back and you get the call right. And whether it goes against you or for you, it's hard to argue that that's not the best way to do it.
Down goes Delman Young. 4 strikeouts for Harden.
They're having a hard time catching up with his fastball. Best they can do is foul it off, really.
Wow, very nice sign right there.
Wow. Thank you, Cody, for your service and for being such a great fan.
Appreciate you in many ways, buddy.
Glad you're home.
Danny Valencia hit a 430-foot homer last night. This is not 430. This is caught by Blanco. That's what Rich Hart needed right there, was a one-pitch at bat after he was working so hard to get the first 7 outs tonight.
Yeah, if you can get a quick out right here, he'll be through 3 innings, averaging maybe 15 pitches an inning, which is not bad. Get it down from the 18 or so it was after 2 innings. He's had a good fastball.
That rehab assignment, Oklahoma City against Reno, it went very well. The 6 innings, only 3 hits, 10 strikeouts. And back up he comes, trying to prove to his manager, and I'm sure to his teammates as well, that yeah, this is where he needs to be, is in that Ranger rotation. Pumps in a strike.
The Rangers need him to pitch well, and nobody wants to pitch well more than Rich Harden does. And he's a veteran guy with a lot of talent. He wants to contribute. And it's great to see him out there throwing the ball well right now.
That changeup slider hybrid, whatever we're going to call it, has been mystifying the Twins so far. It's 0-2 to Hardy.
Yeah, it's his changeup, but it's hard for me to call it a changeup just because it breaks like a slider.
Could be he's, to coin a phrase, going to make it after all. It has been 9 up, 9 down for Rich Harden tonight. And he only needed 9 pitches in that 3rd inning. 2-0. The Rangers on top. Games, including the games this week against the Twins and the A's. You can sit up there like those guys. Suites offering a special setting for entertaining clients, celebrating with friends, using plates to fan yourself. Go to TexasRangers.com/suites. And we hope to see you here. Party like those guys.
I want to thank Gary Farina for sending up the chocolate Kahlua cake. That's the signature dessert from his restaurant in Grapevine. Thank you very much, Gary Farina.
Be eating that after the game. No Kahlua infused
There's
products allowed right now.
A little bit of Kahlua in that product.
I know. That's why I'm waiting until the post-game festivities.
Pretty solid reviews from the people who have tried it. And also, our friend Tracy Seiler sent up a nice batch of chocolate chip cookies.
Yep, appreciate that very much, as always. Taken. And Jim Joyce says that's it for Elvis.
Pretty good changeup and good location with it on the outside corner by Blackburn. Watch Maurer's glove. Watch the ball. It's pretty close. Sometimes the telltale sign is when Maurer or a catcher brings his glove back a little bit toward the plate. Might lead you to believe that it was slightly off the plate. Close enough and a good pitch.
Michael Young. It's the first one he sees in right center. It's a classic Michael Young single to right. Josh Hamilton's coming up, but first let's stay on the subject of Michael Young and go down to Dana Larson.
Well, yes, certainly, Josh, as the Rangers continue to weather the storm and deal with these injuries that they have had. Michael Young says there are no excuses whatsoever. In fact, he says, look no further than the dugout across the diamond here. The Minnesota Twins have been without closer Joe Nathan and without first baseman Justin Morneau, 2 All-Stars for a combined 159 games. They are weathering the storm. That is the name of the game right now, Josh.
Yeah, Minnesota's, I think, thank you, Dana, very much, a great example for a lot of reasons. They always assemble gritty teams that don't point fingers. They're always fundamentally sound, overachieve a little bit. Since Ron Gardenhire arrived 8 years ago, the Twins have the 5th best record in baseball. The other 4 on that list have all won World Series. Minnesota not yet.
Yeah, I think when you look at their team right now, it's hard to call them an overachieving team. They're 20 games over 500, but they've got MVPs in their lineup. They've got all-star players. They've got a guy with 88 RBIs batting 7th. They've got a rookie hitting .330 batting 8th. They've got a veteran like Tomey getting big hits for them. They've got a good team. Really good position players. Play good defense. They've got a little bit of speed. They've got 5 solid starting pitchers. They don't necessarily have a top 5 ERA candidate in the league. They added Matt Capps to their bullpen. They've got a good solid ball club. They're tough to beat.
Every pitcher they have throws strikes. There's strike number 3 to Josh Hamilton. Just like Penn State football produces linebackers, like Canada produces hockey players, the Twins seem to produce pitchers who pound that strike zone.
Blackburn's made some good pitches, borderline pitches. He's got the call on a couple of them. Josh thought that was a little bit outside. It was pretty close to the outside corner. Pretty good pitch by Blackburn. He's given up some infield hits and 1 ball to David Murphy that cost him the 2 runs. Other than that, he's thrown the ball pretty well.
We mentioned they had dispatched him down at AAA to make sure he could find a way to make his sinker sink again. In 4 starts at Rochester, his ERA was 2.4. They brought him back up.
It definitely doesn't look like a guy who in his last 7 big league appearances had an ERA of 11.
Guerrero gives one a ride. But in left field, there's Delman Young. Michael Young is stranded, and we're at the end of 3. The Rangers lead by 2. like to learn more, please go to ChevyTexasBaseball.com. On the time and temperature clock out there in left, we just a moment ago had double zeros both ways. 8 o'clock local time, 100 degrees here in Arlington. We topped out at 105 in Arlington today. So welcome, Minnesota. And the Twins have been playing great ball. They've won 21 out of 27. We'll see if maybe this is where they start to sag a little bit. Rich Harden has not made it easy for him to get a good swing on the ball yet.
Yeah, the Central Division has been kind of a division of monthly streaks. Prior to the streak that the Twins had, the White Sox had that kind of a streak and kind of stormed out to a lead.
And before that, it was Detroit.
Tigers were up there for a while. Right now, it looks like Minnesota. Of course, it looked like the White Sox a month ago, so maybe something will change. But right now, Minnesota's got it going.
Minnesota and the White Sox play each other 6 more times. Span checks his swing. Now, certainly last year it looked like the Central was all locked up. And then the Tigers pulled a grand El Foldo. An El Foldo Grande. Twins forcing the 1-game playoff, and they won it. Last regular season game ever at the Metrodome. That does count as a regular season game, by the way. Anytime there's a division tiebreak, that is regular season game number 163.
Another 3-ball count. And another strike. Span taking all the way just like he was in the first inning on the 3-1 pitch. Span's hitting about 40 points less this year. His on-base percentage is 55 points less than it was last year. Last year, 392 on-base percentage. This year, 337.
On appeal, no swing. And the Twins have their first base runner of the night. Yeah, it's funny. Both these teams have center fielders who are doing pretty much what you just said there. Because Bourbon has had the same kind of season, yet both these teams are in first place. Orlando Hudson bats. We go to Jim Knox.
All right, Josh, real quick. Nolan Ryan and Chuck Greenberg, Rangers' new owners, continue to reach out to Ranger fans. You know, yesterday in the Dallas Star Telegram, and also the Forward Star Telegram, that is in the Dallas Morning News, took out a full-page ad welcoming Ranger fans to a new beginning. Also wanted to hear from Ranger fans if they had any suggestions. They would love to hear from that. About that, they were already making nice concessions to Ranger fans, you know, lowering the concession prices and also parking. These Ranger fans seem to enjoy that. And a lot of Ranger fans taking part and throwing their suggestions in and also enjoying the new Rangers owners, Chuck Greenberg and Nolan Ryan, continue to make the changes here at the ballpark. Josh.
Or Chuck.
Thank you, Jim. And yeah, the fans continue to embrace the whole new ownership dynamic with wide open arms. We've seen Mr. Greenberg out there in those bleachers, kind of hobnobbing and hanging out with the masses. Harden trying to come back here on Orlando Hudson. Now, Hudson last year kind of collapsed in the season's second half. That was with the Dodgers. A bad wrist didn't help. But he'd gotten off to a tremendous start. Had a quality season overall for L.A. And a nice find here for Minnesota in 2010.
Get a new one.
Yep, he's going to have to. Nice catch right behind that Minnesota dugout, too. A big mystery with Hudson. The last couple of years, he and his Gold Glove skills at second base have been out on the open market. And each year, no one signs him up until the start of spring training.
Well, if he ends up on your team, you got a pretty good player, that's for sure.
A lot of teams are simply set at second base, though. It's become a real star position over the last 10 or 12 years or so. Didn't used to be that way. If you played fantasy baseball, say in the mid to late 80s, there was always a run on a very few real good second basemen, guys like Ryan Sandberg. See that one barely outside.
Julio Franco would have been a good one to have.
But there was such a precipitous drop-off. There were like 2 or 3 real good ones. And then there was, just kind of the field. And now everywhere you look, there's second basemen if they stay healthy. A guy like Chase Utley in Philadelphia, he's kind of like Kinsler, just can't stay healthy. But when he is healthy, a 30-30 guy. Another full count for Harden.
Hudson laid off a tough pitch. You will get left-hand hitters to swing at that pitch. He was able to avoid it.
On 3-2, Span gets going. There's a foul back by Hudson. He was up there for 8 pitches in the first inning. And a deep count here. The native Canadian, Rich Harden, on the west coast of Canada, British Columbia. Span goes again. Hudson a smash to right. Murphy's got it. He'll plant. He'll fire to Moreland. It is not in time to double him up. But the fans got into that. David Murphy had a shot to get a speedy man doubled off.
If he wasn't so quick, he might not have been able to reverse and get back to first base. Hard hit ball by Hudson. Fortunately, it's right at David. And he was going to be back even if the throw didn't pull Moreland off the bag.
Now the MVP candidate, Joe Mauer. One thing he has not done this year is hit for as much power as last year. 8 home runs. Only one of them at that new ballpark in Minneapolis. And he didn't hit that until about, a week ago.
Yeah, that hit the top of the wall in left field. Last year he had 28 home runs, but he had 30 doubles. This year he's got 39 doubles already this year. So he's got to he has a chance to have 50% more doubles, but it doesn't look like might have 50% of the home runs he hit too.
And since the All-Star break, hitting a rather robust .418. The 2 guys being talked about as the MVP candidates are the top 2 on that list.
Well, Chris Johnson started to hit against the Rangers, really.
Yeah, he sure did.
A couple of good games against the Rangers. I think he'd just been called up prior to that series against the Rangers.
Yep.
Not too far before that series anyway.
He had a 4-hit game here.
Yeah. He stayed hot.
The last time with Mauer it was 0-2. This time it is 3-0. Mauer never was a guy that hit for power in the minors. Then busted out with 28 last year. He had about 300 career minor league games, Tom. He had 9 home runs total. Yet every scout seemed to say someday he'll hit between 25 and 30 in a big league season. And sure enough, that season arrived last year.
I think all you have to do is look at his body and his swing, and you can predict that and feel pretty comfortable.
The second walk of the inning.
Not too far away from where strike 3 was located to Mauer in the first inning.
Once again,
that's pretty close to being a strike right there.
Our pitch tracker, again, if you haven't heard, unfortunately is down tonight. Normally we'd show you exactly where in or near the rectangle that was.
This would be a great game for the pitch tracker because both pitchers have thrown a lot of pitches right near the corners.
A great shot of the ballpark. But a big full moon rising now behind the left field bleachers. 2 on, 1 out for Jason Kubel. And I'm sure even if you were in the right field bleachers, behind that, the moon would also be noticed. But from where we sit, right beyond the upper deck and left, and it's high to Kubel. Very artsy shot we just had right there. Maddox is going to come out because Harden suddenly is having one of those innings where it's just tough to get ahead.
Oh, he was in a nice groove. The end of the first inning, through the second inning, had a quick third inning. And then it's almost like in the fourth inning, he got out of that groove, whether it's the angle of his arm, the release point, and just hasn't had quite the same command here in the fourth inning that he did back in the second inning and the third inning, especially the third inning. That was a nice quick inning for him.
Rich susceptible sometimes to that one bad inning. And his job here is to make sure this isn't it. One nicely placed ground ball, he's out of the inning. No one fouled into the crowd. You touched on it earlier, Tom. Harden had 2 really, really good starts this year, both out on the West Coast. But he's had 15 starts total. And really, those are the only 2 out of those 15 where you went, wow, that's the guy. The other 13 games, his ERA is about 6.5 or 7. Good pitch right there, tying up Kubel. Trainer going over. Staggers and he can't get there. Just couldn't untangle.
The ball came down about another foot and it's in his glove. It came down behind the screen and hit right in the first row. So just missed an opportunity to get an out on a foul pop-up.
Got to navigate all those sporting goods right there. Remember, he just had that PCL problem.
That ball actually hit on the ledge right in back of the screen.
Well, it's so dangerous. Catcher going over there, and when you step on one of those bats like that, it can be all she wrote.
Good pitch. Got the fastball in on Kubel and jammed him.
And Bourbon throwing towards third. So yeah, nice job, because even though Trainer didn't grab the foul ball, essentially the same kind of approach, tying up a real good hitter, cleanup man for Minnesota. Now he's got to get Michael Kadire.
I want to thank Phyllis Seegers. They live in Dallas and spend the summers in Colorado. They have the baseball package, Josh, so they get a chance to listen to us. They enjoy the broadcast, and Phyllis has sent a tissue holder for us.
Love
to
that.
Add to our collection.
We have a growing collection of.
Thank you very much, Phyllis. That's very nice. I hope you're listening.
25 pitch inning for Rich Harden. We got about half a dozen Kleenex dispensers now, I believe.
Yeah, very nice of the people who have sent those.
Just in time for allergy season, too. Well, here's Harden getting ahead 0-2. All right, now, we're not playing favorites here, but here's the birdhouse.
Yeah, that's not the one that Phyllis sent. This is the one that Phyllis sent.
Well, T
in case you didn't know,
yeah.
T is for tissue.
And C is for cookie.
Thank you very much, Phyllis. It'll be prominently displayed.
Two strikes.
Try to get this last out.
Yep, 2 out. And Kadire from Harden. Taken down he goes.
That fastball at 94 miles an hour just froze Kadire for the last out. Well, I don't know what the pitching coach said, but it certainly worked.
driving those runs in will be leading off right now. David Murphy against Nick Blackburn. Here's your AT&T trivia question. The only player to play for the original Senators, the Twins, the expansion Senators, and the Rangers. That's a great question. These are the two teams that used to be the Washington Senators, the Minnesota Twins and the Texas Rangers.
I think I know that.
Well, don't give it away.
I won't.
Okay. You just keep opening up your Kleenex boxes over there, and we'll get you the answer in the bottom of the fourth inning. On 1-1 to Murphy. Blackburn missing. Now, Tom, you mentioned Blackburn's road ERA this year is more than 10. But he's looked pretty good so far tonight.
I think he's made some good pitches. He made, I guess, one bad pitch. That was to David Murphy after the infield hit to Hamilton and Guerrero. A big cutter right there came right in on David.
Well, an interesting choice on 3-1 because it's certainly not the quality pitch that he threw to David Murphy on 3-1 last time. Murphy almost belted it right out of the park. Ripped towards second. Hudson takes it right in the gut.
Hard hit ball.
Take you back to that first inning. If you missed it, your Coors Light freeze cam. David Murphy, there's contact. And this is how close he came to a 3-run homer. Great shot. Wow. Now Matt Trainer. The Rangers with that 2-5 road trip, and again, they only lost half a game. They're getting to the point now where you really start to play what if. With fewer than 40 games to go. If the Rangers go even 19-20, well, the Angels would have to win 27 games in their last 37. So although it's looking good, not a done deal at all. 31 still a big number. That countdown is on, and that'll be fun. But a magic number in the 30s, you're not exactly buying your confetti quite yet. Trainer to right center. Long run. And Denard Span will make that run.
Yeah, and actually it's pretty much the same number for the A's, who really right now are playing better than the Angels. And the one thing they have in their favor is they have a lot of games against each other coming up in September. They've got some coming up against the A's this weekend.
That is the one X factor for sure. I mean, what you have to make sure you don't do is get cold on one of those series. For example, when the Rangers go play the A's in Oakland for 4, starting September 23rd.
Well, hopefully, when you go in there for 4, you've got Nelly Cruz playing right field and Ian Kinsler playing second base, and then you'll take your chances.
The season will end this year with 7 home games in a row. The last 4 against those Angels, and suddenly the goal is to make those last 4 against the Angels not mean as much as we're all thinking they might. On the ground, and there's that sinker for Nick Blackburn doing the job. He has set down 5 straight. We will go on and play the 5th tonight with the Rangers up by 2. question for you. Tom Grieve thinks he knows it. The only player to play for the original Senators, Twins, expansion Senators, and Rangers was the Huntsville, Alabama native Don Mincher. Was that what you were going with there,
Yep.
Tag?
Yeah, Don Mincher was a teammate of mine in Washington, a teammate of mine in Texas, and Don went on to be the general manager of the Huntsville team.
Yep. And look, here's Mark McLemore, who's very impressed with all that.
I am very impressed. How could you remember all that?
See? I'm very impressed that you knew the words to that Mary Tyler Moore theme song tonight.
No, I used to watch Mary all the time.
Well, she has nothing but good things to say about you, too. So we are underway in the top of the fifth. And Jim Thome, the guy with 581 home runs against Rich Harden. Normally, Mac, we start by asking you about the Ranger pitcher, but I know you know Jim Thome. I want to ask you about him.
Jim Thome is one of the class acts in baseball right now. He's been that way, been the same way from the first day he got to the big leagues and even to this day. He saw me today and, yelled out, Mac, and came over and gave me a great big hug like he's always done. And just one of the true professional baseball players out there.
He can turn the world on with his smile, can't he?
Well, I don't know.
Oh, all right.
We'll leave that for Mary.
All right. Well, Thome getting close to Mark McGwire now on that all-time home run list. And obviously has kept his name a lot cleaner than that of Big Mac.
Mac, I'd like to get your opinion on something. Go back to the first inning. You were, among other positions, a second baseman. 2 outs, Josh Hamilton up. If you were the second baseman, would you have played 10 feet into right field?
No way.
Can't play him there, can you?
You can't. You can't because he's a guy that can run. You still don't want to get him on base because then you've got Vlad coming up behind him. So you've got to play in. There were only a couple of guys that I ever played back on the grass like that. And one was, matter of fact, used to play for this Minnesota Twins ball club, Ken Herbeck. And the other was Barry Bonds. Other than that, the deepest that I would get would be right on the edge of the grass. And one of the things that a lot of players that I've noticed today think that the deeper you are, the more range you get. And that's not necessarily true. Where you get your range from is your first 2 steps. If you've got quick feet and your first 2 steps are quick, that's your range.
But it just looks like if you're out that deep and you have to range, let's say, 5 feet to your right, you're not going to be able to throw it to first base anyway.
The ball has to be hit right to you.
Yeah.
If you have to go left or right or in, you don't have a chance against a guy, Josh Hamilton.
Right.
Now, Ken Herbeck, that's a little bit different. Barry Bonds a little bit different because when he very rarely missed the ball. So if when he hit it, hit it on the screws.
Right.
But those were the only 2 guys.
It turned out Josh got an infield hit, Vladdy got an infield hit, and the only 2 runs then scored on David's triple.
Right. You just can't. In my opinion, you just can't give that up.
Delman Young, who's had quite the season this year, is going to foul one. Seems like everybody's been waiting on Delman Young for a long time, Mac, but he's still in his mid-20s.
Well, sometimes it takes a young kid some time to mature, to develop, and learn how to hit at the big league level. And Delman Young, it looks like he's finally starting to come in and be the player that everybody anticipated.
Looking to turn one here. There's one, and that's it. Delman Young runs pretty well. All right, that does give us some time now to talk about Rich Harden, because I'm interested in getting your take. We've been trying not to call it a make or break start for Rich, but it's obviously a really important start for Rich. And, on the one hand, he needed 34 pitches to get through the first 5 batters, but he got all 5 of them out. And here he is with a shutout in the top of the 5th inning.
Well, there's no doubt that this is a very important start for Rich Harden, and not just Rich, but for the Rangers as well, because they need a win, especially against this Minnesota Twins ball club. But Rich, his biggest problem really has just been the amount of pitches that he's throwing. And early on, it looks as though he was going to start off that way. I think the first 3 out of the first 4 batters, he had a full count on. And that's not something you really want to see, especially that early in the ball game. So just being able to cut down those pitches and keep his team in the game is really, I think, what the Rangers are looking for.
There's Valencia out in front of that. Harden dialing it down to 83.
The bad thing is there's been a lot of pitches. The good thing is the quality of his pitches tonight has been pretty solid. He's throwing the ball hard. His changeup has worked pretty well for him. He's the kind of pitcher, Mac, that gets a lot of foul balls, a lot of swings and misses. They don't put the ball in play early in the count against him anyway.
Right. I think, the key for him really is having that high fastball work. And what I mean by that high fastball, the fastball that's up at the top of the zone. Because if he's able to throw that pitch for a strike or get them to swing at it, foul it off, pop it up, then that makes that changeup all that more effective, because you think all of a sudden, hey, that's a good pitch to hit. I'm going to swing at it, and then all of a sudden the bottom drops out.
Well, it's been a cumbersome 86 pitches to get through 4 1/3, but 3 walks. That's the worst we can talk about with Rich right now, leading 2-0. Slap towards third. Michael Young's got it. There's one. Quick release. Bang! That's 5 high-quality innings.
Very nicely done. That's what they're looking for right there. Get them in the ball game.
Way to go, Mac.
You got it.
You are the man. Thank you.
All right, fellas.
And the A's Los Lonely Boys play a post-game concert that night presented by State Farm. And the first 8,500 fans 13 and under will receive a chest protector backpack. Compliments of Dr. Pepper and Albertsons. 972 Rangers. Where to pick up the phone and call, or you can go online at TexasRangers.com. The Rangers scored twice in the first after scoring 3 times in the first yesterday. Didn't Lou Brock once have a patent for something kind of like that?
He had the Brock umbrella,
but
which was like an umbrella that shielded you from the shade. I don't think he had the spinner on
Not
there.
the beanie propeller? That wasn't Lou Brock's idea?
I don't think so.
All right. Blanco, a rip and a miss.
The problem you have is, it gets pretty windy in Texas. That little spinner starts spinning, you go right up in the air. You just start flying away.
I hate it when that happens.
Got to loosen your chin strap so the hat just falls off.
1-2 the count to Blanco. To be followed by Bourbon and Andrews in the bottom of the 5th.
That's one of those hats that you just, you wonder, how did someone invent that? Like, why would you put that little spinner on a hat?
Right, say, this is a really nice hat. You know what it needs? A propeller. Strike 3 to Blanco.
Have some good movement on that pitch. I like it.
Not that breezy of a night, apparently.
Blackburn has thrown a lot of pitches successfully, like the one he just struck Blanco out with. That pitch that looks inside and then comes back, almost like a left-handed slider, and catches the plate. That's an excellent sinker with great movement on it.
2-0 the count to Bourbon now. Wrapped into a double play in the second. Yeah, Blackburn certainly steered out of the skid after that first inning where he gave up the 2 runs on the blast by Murphy. Triple off the top of the wall. On the ground, that has got to be. It is a base hit for Bourbon. Now I can start to think about the possibility of running, although again, we throw out that red flag. Only 1 stolen base allowed all year by Nick Blackburn.
Yeah, I really don't think Blackburn is a good guy to attempt to steal against. But when you got Elvis up there, you could maybe try a hit and run because Elvis handles the bat really well. And he's swinging the bat pretty well right now. That's when it doesn't make much difference if you catch it or not. The result's going to be the exact same thing.
I think the best invention of the year for us, not the propeller hat so much, but Exmo.
Exmo, I love Exmo.
Propeller had a close second, but Exmo very, very cool. Andrews 0 for 2, trying to prolong a hit streak, get it from 12 to 13. There goes Bourbon. Hit and run. Thing of beauty. Andrews just rolls it on into right. It's going to be runners at the corners, 1 out.
And that's all you have to do on the hit and run is put it in play and hope that you've hit it to the side of the infield that the defensive player has vacated to cover second base. And that worked out very well. Got it just by Kadire. And you can see the second baseman is the one covering. And the ball just trickles right into the outfield. First and third, Michael Young with a chance to knock in the third run. Perfect job right there by Elvis. Good plan by Ron Washington.
A 13-game hitting streak now for Elvis. We're doing the little things, executing, pitching well. That's been the hallmark of the Twins, as we've been talking about for years. The Rangers are stealing their mojo.
Blackburn gets a lot of ground balls, and his goal right here is to get a ground ball and try to get a double play. Michaels is to hit it in the air and try and bring in the run.
Michaels got 16 of his 19 home runs this year in this ballpark. Hammers that outside corner. Michael was called out on a pitch like that back in the first inning. Infield hangs a double play depth. Again, Blackburn, a guy that gets a lot of ground balls. Trying again for the outside edge.
He's definitely shooting for the outside corner, and that's definitely outside. And again, when you see Mauer catch the ball and try to bring it back toward the plate, that's a pretty good indication that the pitch was actually outside.
Good speed aboard here. Boy, in love with that outside edge, but he's just not hitting it right now.
No, and if he misses it right here, he's got to face Josh Hamilton with the bases loaded and nowhere to go but throwing a strike.
And when you go outside corner on Michael Young, of course, Michael's so prolific at hitting the ball the other way anyway. Let's see if they run now at first with Elvis. Twins are thinking along those lines.
Well, there's the reason you would run is to try to stay out of a double play. The reason you wouldn't run is you wouldn't want to see a strikeout, throw him out with Josh Hamilton the next hitter. So we'll see which way Ron decides to go. I'm guessing he's going to have him run.
He's going. And a foul up near third.
Elvis on his way back to first is looking over to Dave Anderson to get the sign.
Dave has quietly done a really nice job as the Rangers third base coach last couple of years. Under this full moon here in Arlington. Eventually Blackburn's got to come into Michael Young. Again, Elvis goes. There's Michael to right field. It is foul. And the battle continues between Blackburn and Young. Michael is one double away from 30, one homer away from 20. Nice round numbers. Andrews goes at 3-2. Bouncing ball towards short. There's one hard takeout slide. And because of that, the run's going to score. Young down to second base. And he's safe.
That's just stealing a run right there. The Twins were very fortunate. Michael hit a ball that was going to be up the middle for a base hit. But Hardy is covering second base on the play. And he gets to second base before Elvis and just throws the ball right into the dirt and misses a chance to get out of the inning without a run.
Watch Elvis bearing down here.
I think you're right. Just the fact that Elvis was coming caused him maybe to be back on his heels a little bit, not be able to come through the bag, and that caused the low throw. But good job by Elvis, and a nice break for the Rangers to get that third run.
Justin Morneau maybe picks this ball. Michael Kadire doesn't have a tremendous amount of experience at first, and certainly not on this particular field. 6 unassisted, an E6, and an RBI. Rangers now lead 3-0 for Rich Harden. We know Matt Harrison was warming again in the bullpen. On a hot night, it's been an 87-pitch performance for Harden to get through 5 innings.
Good
out in front.
Yep. Nice changeup by Blackburn. Makes it look just like his fastball.
Hamilton doesn't get to see a lot of fastballs, and this is something that Morneau has dealt with as well from Minnesota. Big, powerful lefty. Sees a lot of off-speed stuff and junk.
Oh, it's not bothering him too much.
And again, not the heat. Most guys see fastballs at least 50% of the time. But Josh Hamilton is closer to 40% of the time. And a lot of those fastballs obviously aren't even near home plate. It's kind of a show-me kind of pitch.
fastball. He's hitting 357. Maybe they ought to start throwing him more fastballs because whatever they're doing is not working very good.
Josh turns on that one.
And Josh is one of those hitters that can almost be on guard for an off-speed pitch and still is quick enough to be able to hit a fastball. Not many guys can do that. Almost every hitter can look for a fastball and adjust to a breaking ball. Josh can. He's so quick, he's so strong that he can almost do it the other way.
Now one floats outside, 2-2.
Pretty much with 2 strikes, you really don't have the luxury of looking for one certain pitch. You just have to be up there reacting to the ball and trying to put it in play.
In play. And Kadire is able to get it to Blackburn to end the inning, but the Rangers do steal a run. Elvis Andrus with that hard takeout slide. It becomes a 3-0 lead for Hardin and the Rangers.
Inning. It is time for our nightly reminder about what we've got for you on the website, foxsportssouthwest.com. You can find all of our post-game interviews on this Rangers-Twins game coming up as well, and also little college football, top 5 things to look out for on week 1 of the Big 12 season. And yes, it is the Entourage, so the HBO drama with a Dallas flair once again to it last night. More on Mark Cuban's appearance on that show. And Josh and Tom, I don't know about you guys, but we've had Jerry Jones, Mark Cuban on that show. I want to see Nolan Ryan go toe-to-toe with Ari Gold.
Well,
I'd like to see that too, Dana. That'd be very interesting.
I'm wondering when Chuck Greenberg or Nolan well, I don't think Nolan will show up on Entourage. I think Chuck Greenberg with a cameo would be a possibility. Looks like an interesting season of that show, Tag. I don't know if you've kept up or not, but
yeah, I got to admit I'm starting to get bored with it.
Come on, really?
Yeah. I think it's starting to die a slow death, to be honest.
I'm the one with the short attention span, not you.
Well, no, I'm just getting kind of bored with it.
Hardin to Hardy.
Still like it, but
ball 4. All right, maybe it'll pick up. Maybe Turtle's career will take off, and you'll be happy you stuck with it.
Yeah, no, I'm going to stick with it.
All right.
I don't dislike it to that point yet.
So that walk to Hardy, that means 4 walks now from Hardin. And it's all in that one pass through the batting order. The first pass through the batting order, it was a perfect game. And now over the second pass of the batting order, 4 walks in there. Harrison is up in the bullpen. There's a strike to Span. Pitch count at 92. By the way, speaking of Chuck Greenberg, he's been sitting tonight with the father of Kevin Slowey, a pitcher for these Twins. Speaking of Twins, a Twin killing here, the 4-6-3 double play, Rich Harden.
The second inning in a row that the off-speed pitch has induced a double play. Valencia 5-4-3 to end the fifth, and now the off-speed pitch off the end of the bat by Span, turned nicely by Blanco and Andrus.
Very smooth.
Erases that walk to lead off the inning.
And just to finish the thought, apparently Kevin Slowey's dad and Chuck Greenberg coached Little League ball together in AAU baseball back in Pittsburgh. There's a high drive by Orlando Hudson. It goes deep. It goes near the wall. Bourbon has got it, and Harden is still having the kind of night that we're not really allowed to comment on, but it's going very well. Tonight's jackpot is worth $1,100 and dinner for two at Sonic Drive-In. Good luck to Mike McDonald of Capel. If a Ranger hits a grand slam during this inning, we're giving away $25,000. You can register at any North Texas Sonic restaurant. Now, Rich Harden helped out by a couple of double plays. And the Rangers backing him with 3 runs on 8 hits. 94 pitches for Harden, meaning this is not going to be a complete game. We've already seen Matt Harrison up in the bullpen twice, but what you've seen out of Rich Harden is navigating 4 walks. You've seen a great changeup tonight. Guerrero leads it off here in the 6th. It'll take you back to yesterday. It was like hold hard blast. His first home run in the entire month of August. Rangers hit a pair of 3-run homers yesterday, won the game 6-4. Tommy Hunter improving to 10-2. That pitch just disappearing on Vlad. He's behind 1-2. Taken. Strike 3. So Blackburn has been outpitched by Harden tonight, but he's still been pretty impressive.
Yeah, I think Blackburn has thrown the ball well, and I'm sure the Twins are pleased with the way he's thrown the ball. That looked like a pretty good pitch. Normally a pitch that Brad wouldn't take. Generally, he's that close to being struck. I'd be wailing away at it.
Murphy, the 2 RBI triple that danced on the top of the wall in that 2-run first inning. It was set up by a pair of infield hits from the guys you might not first think of for infield hits, the sluggers, the guys that had the 3-run homers yesterday, Hamilton and Guerrero. That is the underrated element, though, for both those guys. Guerrero obviously doesn't run how he used to run, but he was a one-time 40 steals guy in Montreal. Little tapper to second base. And Tom, you've talked about it a lot, and we see it when Hamilton's in the outfield. I mean, for a guy who's huge, 6'4", 230, built as solidly as he is, it is just fun to watch Josh Hamilton run.
Yeah, and I love how hard he plays. I wish he wouldn't dive into first base on those kind of balls, though. The reality is, if you go through the bag the right way, you can get to first base just as quickly standing up. And I love the way he hustles, and I love the way he beats those balls out. I just hate the risk that you might hurt your hand doing it. It's hard to say don't do it, because I think instincts take over. I just kind of cringe every time I see Josh do that.
Well, again, the last time the Orioles were relevant, their season kind of came apart when Roberto Alomar did that. Going inside the trainer. Alomar's a guy that over and over they would tell him, beg him, please don't do that. And he'd say, well, it's just my competitive instinct taking over.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is with Josh. And, you know, you can say I'm worried about the injury, and Josh will say, okay, thanks for the worry, but I'm playing the way I play. And, you know, you just can't, you can't take that away from him. You can kind of counsel him if you're worried about that. But when you get out there and he's playing that hard, you just got to let his natural ability and his instincts and the way he plays the game just take over and play the way you play. It's not like saying don't run into the wall on a fly ball. Can't play that way.
It's not his natural state.
Nope.
And it's not like he's snotty about it when somebody tells him, you know, or begs him. I mean, it's not like he's saying, hey, I'll be me, you be you. I mean, he knows it's probably right, but he can't help it. Same way Kevin Brown used to reach for every ground ball up the middle. That's gotta be not great on your body when you do that.
Well, it led to 2 runs.
That is the bottom line.
That's the bottom line. And the shift for the Twins allowed the opening there with 2 outs and nobody on. Hudson playing 10 feet out in right field. Didn't have time to make the play.
And that beautiful Fox Exmo camera, Jim Joyce shows us his mustache. Trainer sounds like a chip bat. And Hardy loads up and fires and gets him to end the inning. Rich Harden goes back to work. And what a job he's done tonight. 3-0 as we go to the 7th. Brought to you by your Texas Chevy dealers, proud sponsor of Texas baseball, and by Verizon Wireless. Own the airwaves, rule the air. Now, Rich Harden, I'm sure, knows that a little bit more was expected of him this year. He's got 4 wins, 2 stints on the DL, ERA of 5.5 coming in tonight. But, well, that's a very nice-looking line right there, especially the second column, third column, and fourth column. The Minnesota Twins scored 4 times yesterday, did it all in 1 inning. And even without Morneau, they're a team that's certainly capable of doing some damage to even the best pitchers out there. It's a real tough part of the order. Mauer, Kubel, Kadire in the 7th. There is action again behind Harden in the bullpen. Matt Harrison has been up and down in the last 3 innings.
3 out of the 4 hitters scheduled to hit in this inning, they will hit, are left-hand hitters. Mauer, Kubel, and Tomey. And they really have not had good swings at his fastball tonight. Hit a couple of balls hard, but for the most part, they've been behind Rich's fastball all night long.
You're keeping him off that fastball with that change, right?
He's got both pitches working nicely for him.
Coming off that rehab start where he struck out 10 in 6 innings. Mauer takes, and that's a strike.
Dropped the changeup in there.
Trainer doing a nice job tonight. Was personally requested by Rich Harden to get this start. Says nothing about the game calling skills of Benji Molina, obviously, because Molina is lauded for that too. But Harden and Trainer seem to have a nice rapport. Both guys activated from the DL this afternoon. They're making some beautiful music together. Close. Didn't get it.
That could have gone either way. Different hitter, maybe you get the call. I'm saying the tracker would have said that caught the outside corner, but borderline pitch, it can go either way. Tough one to call for an umpire right there.
Here's a 3-2 to Mauer. In the air, right field, there's Murphy.
Fooled him on a 3-2 changeup.
Well,
not the first time he's done that tonight.
No, that's the guy that doesn't hardly ever get fooled. The guy that just hits one line drive after another, but has not been able to center the ball against Harden tonight.
Nice 6th inning, only 7 pitches. 27 pitch 4th inning. It's going to make his pitch count tough for him to pitch 9 innings in this game.
Kubel fouls it right towards that Ranger dugout. The pitch count over 100. The temperature has been that as well all during the day and into the night. It doesn't seem like Harden's exactly drenched with sweat.
But he's a guy that is in great shape.
Going for the inside corner. Didn't get it. 2-1.
Probably a little inside. That gives you a good view of home plate from a true angle right behind the pitcher.
Well, there's the heat. 2-2. 1 out, top of the 7th inning.
Seemed to swing at one a little bit high right there. High fastball. Does he come back with a changeup right here?
Nope, fastball, but
good location with it.
It is interesting to ponder. Now do you look for 4 fastballs in a row?
If you're getting him to swing at that one, it's not a bad pitch to throw, because I don't think he can really get on top of it to do any damage.
Kubel is a guy that statistically has always mashed fastballs. Whoa, close. It was another fastball, and it didn't miss by much.
You almost wonder if the umpire's eyes were trained a little bit higher because of the previous pitches. And that had to be a strike. It didn't have to be. I mean, it was borderline. We want it. They don't. That's a
Yes, he did.
3-2 changeup again. Got Mauer to fly out on it and strikes out Kubel with it. So he didn't get the call. Again, I don't want to say that that was a strike. I think from a Ranger perspective, you want to see it called. From a Twins perspective, you don't. And from the home plate umpire's perspective, Jim Joyce, it's a borderline pitch that could go either way. That one wasn't a strike, but he swung at it. 107 pitches with 2 outs in the 7th inning.
Well, we were saying earlier, Tom, talking about Chuck Greenberg, the Rangers owner, sitting with Kevin Slowey's dad tonight, that Kevin Slowey, not too long ago, had what Rich Harden was working on, and there was the excruciating decision that was made to take him out after 7 innings.
Well, Rich in his rehab start on Wednesday at Oklahoma City threw 101 pitches. And if you anticipate how many pitches he might have to throw to pitch 9 innings, you're probably talking around 140. And so the question is, does the manager let him stay out there to throw that many pitches?
If Tomey comes up and Kadire has reached, you know, the risk that you run leaving Harden out there, one big swing from Jim Tomey, it's a 3-2 game at that point. You've got the lefty ready. And here is that decision that Ron Washington's got to make right now. These fans are going to hoot and holler, but you kind of set it up. Harden, 111 pitches.
The thing is, you know, the fans want to see him throw a no-hitter. But he's not going to be able to stay in through 9 innings anyway. Ron's not going to let him throw 140 or 150 pitches just so that he can have a chance to throw a no-hitter. He's got to try to win the ball game. He may let him stay in to face Tomey, but I don't think there's any way he's going to be able to pitch 9 innings.
Harden traditionally has been unable to talk Ron Washington into staying on the mound. Usually Wash wins out. Jim Joyce says, what's your decision? That's the night for Rich Harden.
The fans are giving him a nice ovation. Some of the fans are upset with the decision, but it's the right call. He's thrown 111 pitches, and he's just not going to be able to stay in the game long enough to get what they're looking for anyway.
Well, these fans have been waiting for a night like this from Rich Harden in this town all year. And Harden maybe has won those fans over, at least for a night, even though he has walked 5. Pretty special thing that now the bullpen will continue to try to work on for him. Here's Matt Harrison. It's 3-0. And the story now becomes fairly obvious, with the Twins still looking to get something done. against any Ranger pitcher. Rich Harden will not have the opportunity to continue his pursuit. A combined pursuit now will take shape. Your Verizon Wireless call to the bullpen. Matt Harrison will try to not only keep things intact, but keep this a 3-0 game. Jim Thome, a guy that can certainly change things in a hurry. 581 career home runs.
When Thome hit the home run to beat the White Sox the other day, he did it against Matt Thornton, left-hander. He's sitting. Thome hits .279 this year anyway. 60 at bats against lefties, so he hangs tough against lefties. He's a veteran guy. Got to make good pitches to him, whether you're throwing left-handed or right-handed. 96 miles an hour on the outside corner.
Wow.
Though.
Yeah, 109 of Thome's home runs in his career, Tom, have been against lefties.
Miles an hour.
Is that right?
Matt. He's coming in, airing it out, boy. We've seen 96 from Matt before. I don't know that we've seen 98 from him before.
He's pumped up, and boy, that was pretty good. On 1-2. 1 on, 2 out.
This could be Matt's only hitter. Darren O'Day had been warming up. Still is warming up. Delman Young is the next hitter, a right-hand hitter. So if you're Matt, no sense saving anything for the next hitter or the ones after it. Give it everything you got to get Jim Thome right here.
Runner goes. Thome straight one towards center. There's Bourbon. And at the 7th inning stretch, it's Harden and company working on something very special at the ballpark. Video summary on a night where the Rangers lead the Twins 3-0. Rich Harden. We were very careful, Tom, not to call it a do or die or a make or break, but it was probably pretty close to that tonight. A kind of start where everybody was wondering what Rich Harden would be able to do. Well, what he did was pretty good.
He answered the bell. He pitched a big game against a good team. In position to get a win for the ball club. Went out and did his job. Good job.
And if the Rangers bullpen can do the job, we might have a very memorable night tonight. Ron Washington cares. He does.
Hey, it's tough for a manager to take a pitcher out when he hasn't given up a hit. But Rich knows the reality. At 111 pitches in the 7th inning, he wasn't going to be able to pitch 9 innings anyway. He understands that. He also feels good about being able to go out there and have a quality start and give the team a chance to win.
Moreland Line shot center field. We go to Jim Knox.
All right, thanks, Josh. Time for Progressive Fan of the Game. Has to be Dan. Dan, explain this sign.
Well, we're here celebrating our 10-year anniversary tonight. We started off as newlyweds in Minneapolis, Minnesota, watching the Twins. She's still a big Twins fan. Now we're down here in God's country, Rangers country. I'm a big Rangers fan. We're still working on converting her, but she won't do it yet.
All right, because you're the Ranger fan, here's the bag, here's the hat, here's the shirt. Congratulations.
Go Rangers, yeah!
There we go. All right, Josh.
All right, Jim, thank you very much. This would be a good night for conversion. And again, it's fairly uncanny that these two teams would both have essentially the same thing happen within about a week and a half of each other. Rich Harden pulled without giving up a hit. The Twins did it with Kevin Slowey. We mentioned that his dad, a longtime friend of new Ranger owner Chuck Greenberg. And sitting there, you're wondering why there's a guy with a Twins hat sitting in the Rangers box. That's because the Slowies and the Greenbergs go back a long way. Blanco flies to center. Ron Gardenhire certainly had good reasons to do what he did. And you mentioned, Tom, Slowey now on the DL. And obviously, thinking long term, it was absolutely the right thing to get Slowey out of there.
Pitching a game without giving up a hit is, maybe a once-in-a-lifetime thing for a pitcher. But at the same time, a manager's job is to win the game and to be concerned about the well-being of a pitcher. And it's hard to say that you're accomplishing both if you let a pitcher throw 150 or 150 pitches. And so managers do what they're supposed to do, make those tough decisions.
Well, the Rangers maybe do what the fans are hoping. Just let the pitchers get back out there and see if there's going to be history or not. Comfort zone. Fans staying cool. Look, they're bringing out the antlers now. Homemade antlers.
That's great. I love that.
It's really picking up here.
Fans love to feel part of the team, and that's one way they can do it. It's tremendous.
The claw and the antlers. Take your choice. Well, the Rangers will make a pitching change as we go to the 8th. So far, it's been Harden and Harrison, and so far, it's been great. The Rangers leading 3-0. And 6 outs to go for 26,757 at the ballpark tonight to get on their cell phones and say they saw some history. Darren O'Day, with an opponent's batting average of .202, is going to face the bottom third of the Minnesota batting order, but a hot hitter in Delman Young. Jim Joyce rings up strike one. Harden walked 5. Harrison got the one man he was called on to face. Quickly 0-2.
A good combination. Slider away, high fastball. Delman Young has almost cut his strikeout rate in half this year from last year, which is probably one of the strong reasons why he's hitting 20 or 40 points higher. So he hit 284 last year, 16, about 30 points higher this year than last year. Eliminating 40 or 45 strikeouts is probably one of the good reasons why. Still doesn't walk very much. He only walked 12 times last year in 395 at bats. He's only walked 19 times this year in 430 at bats.
Towards first. Oh, look at that hop. Moreland's going to go get it. O'Day to the bag. One down.
That's a beautiful play at first base by Mitch to react to the ball, just to be able to knock it down. Fortunately, it wasn't a hard hit ball, but it sure had a lot of spin on it. Take a look at it. He slices it. It hits the ground, and because of the spin, it almost took a left turn. But he stayed with it and gets a nice first out.
That would have been some way for all that to fall apart, huh? But look how casually O'Day just trotted over and took that ball.
Which has had a smile on his face a couple of times tonight. The little bloop single he got. And now they're staying with that ground ball that had all the spin on it.
Here's Valencia, the rookie. Takes outside. He had a long home run last night. Of all umpires, it's Jim Joyce at home plate tonight, not at first base. But already some drama, of course, for this umpire this year. Handled with such grace. Shaves the corner, 1-2. Nicely framed by Trainer. He got him.
That's the combination he loves to use, and for a hitter, it's just so hard to lay off that high fastball when he's made you so aware of his slider. You see Matt almost standing up. Throw it high. He did, and Valencia swung at it.
J.J. Hardy walked last time. J.J. Hardy takes strike 1. I like that it's righties up here in this inning against O'Day. And Neftali Feliz will be ready to go in the 9th. The Rangers scoring twice in the first. A couple of infield hits to set up a triple for Murphy. Then they squeaked out a run in the 5th. But obviously the story is what's happening out there on the mound tonight. Chipped into what's become a noisy crowd on a triple-digit temperature night under a full moon here in Arlington. Rangers have batted in 8 innings. And this could be a little bit of history here tonight. Tonight, this infield hit from Josh Hamilton with Hudson playing back. Guerrero ends up with an infield hit as well. And then David Murphy almost hit one out. It goes as a triple off the top of the wall. The Rangers led at that point 2-0, tacked on a run later. 3-0 to score. Matt Guerrero is on to pitch. And Nick Blackburn very simply overshadowed tonight. He pitched a really nice ball game. Set down the last 8 that he faced.
I think the Twins have to be real happy with his return to the big leagues. He'd had 4 AAA stars after being sent to AAA. He came back tonight and threw the ball great. And one swing by David Murphy cost him a couple of runs after a couple of infield hits. Didn't walk a batter, struck out 5. I think he's right back where he was in May, throwing the ball well again.
This sets up for Feliz in the 9th. There have already been 3 pitchers for the Rangers. 3 more pitchers than hits allowed at this point. And the Twins collectively, if you're wondering about it, their active roster 1 for 10 against Feliz. Andrews pokes it in, a center base hit. A 2 for 4 night for Elvis. A 13-game hitting streak. Baseball fans, a reminder, Chevy, a proud sponsor of youth baseball throughout the state of Texas. If you'd like to learn more about Chevy's commitment to youth league baseball, go to ChevyTexasBaseball.com. Well, that's the man who will have to shoulder the load in the 9th. All these fans, 26,757 on a Monday night, knowing full well what's at stake. Young pops it into the crowd. It will be the top of the order in the top of the 9th for Minnesota. Denard Span, Orlando Hudson, who had 2 hits last night, and then, Joe Mauer.
Yeah, and another thing to remember, Josh, is you're talking about the team that leads the American League in hitting. They hit .281 as a team. That's 6 points higher than the Rangers, who are second, along with Kansas City. They obviously lead the league in hits. They're 3rd or 4th in runs. And they really don't have a guy in their lineup who's not a pretty good hitter. So to pitch this kind of game against that kind of a team, pretty nice, because they can hit.
And in Mauer, that's the guy who's won a batting title 3 of the last 4 years. He will hit in the 9th. Rich Harden threw 111 pitches in what has been a season of epic disappointment for Rich. In 6 2/3 innings, all we got to talk about was 5 walks. Harden retired the first 9 that he faced. And then the control kind of became spotty in the 4th. That was the 25-pitch inning for him, that 4th inning, 2 walks in it. And when Tomey was up, Matt Harrison was brought on in the 7th. Darren O'Day pitched a spotless 8th inning. All year, Tag, the anthem has been, it'll take a whole team. It'll take everybody involved. And on something like this, it'll take 4 pitchers. Hamilton waits on deck. Matt Guerrero's pitch. Hit it up the middle. Base hit for Michael Young. Andrews takes a turn, goes to 3rd. No one does that like the Texas Rangers. They lead the majors going 1st to 3rd on a single. And up comes Hamilton.
Michael had taken a pretty big turn going around 1st. If Span had thrown to 3rd, he would have gone to 2nd. A couple of hits for Michael, a couple of hits for Elvis.
Three runs on 10 hits for the Rangers right now. No swing. You've made this comment often this year, Tom, and I agree with you. No one holds up and freezes for that umpire down at 3rd like Josh does.
And you have to be strong, because obviously the power with which he starts his swing is significant. And to be able to stop it right before it goes through the zone and keep it from being a check swing strike takes just as much strength.
As the Rangers try to overtake the Twins for the 2nd best record in the AL, that's kind of a big deal, because that means that first series, if the Rangers are in the playoffs, they would have that home field advantage. Right now, it's Minnesota by 2.5. Look at the Angels, by the way, already getting down 3-0 to Tampa Bay tonight. Hamilton carves this one into the crowd. If you want to see a little bit of what you missed, if you've just tuned in now, don't forget Lunch with the Rangers tomorrow at noon, straight up. Show you the replay. Off speed outside, 2-1. If it stays a 3-0 game, it is still a save situation for Feliz. And that tends to be where he does his best work. I think you'd have to agree, Tag, when it is a save situation. Sometimes when it's up 4 runs or up 5 runs, that's when he gets a little bit careless. But after what happened yesterday in Baltimore, after he gave up that home run to start the 9th, and after Ron Washington came out there and just seemed to verbally undress him, he got the hint. He struck out the next 3 guys.
Yeah, and Ron said he went out just to remind him, look, we had a 3-run lead. That's just 1 run. It's all it is a run. Now go out and get the next 3 hitters, earn the save, and let's go home with a win. And I'd say Neftali responded pretty well.
2-2 to Hamilton. A high fly ball to right. Kubel going over. Andrews set to tag, and in center field, Spanel taken instead. Elvis coming home, and he scores. 89th RBI for Josh Hamilton.
And that's when whoever's got the best arm takes the ball. It's not a significantly deep fly ball, but you've got a good runner at third base. And it continues to illustrate how difficult it is, even on a fairly shallow fly ball, to throw a runner who can run out at the plate. Just takes so much to go right.
Guerrero out of play. Infield, the double play depth for the Twins. And Guerrero pulls back. Vladdy with another hit tonight. And slowly but surely it does appear he's starting to reemerge. The batting average right back to 300 on the button. Yesterday his first home run in August. Remember, he had 20 home runs as of July the 9th. He's had only 2 since then. Bouncing ball third base. There's 1 and there's 2, and now the drama. We will go to the 9th here in Arlington, and it's up to Neftali Feliz to see if there will be some history here in Texas tonight. Money-saving car insurance quote, call 1-800-PROGRESSIVE. And buy the Ford F-150. Check out the 2010 F-150 and drive one. Ford is the best in Texas. Now, Rich Harden came blasting off the DL today. Matt Trainer joined him. The battery got it going pretty much right out of the chute. There was 9 up, 9 down to begin the proceedings tonight. The Rangers took a lead of 2-0, then extended that to 3 and now 4. And Neftali Feliz will get out there, not in a save situation per se, but what he's trying to save, well, would be appreciated by a whole lot of people. the top of the order for the Minnesota Twins. And Tom, as you mentioned, they are, especially over the last couple months, the best hitting team in the major leagues.
Yeah, over their last 30 games, they're hitting 300 as a team. Last time what the Rangers are trying to do happened 7 years ago. 6 pitchers. It doesn't have anywhere near the same significance if one pitcher pitched a complete game, but it still is something a lot of fun for however many fans are in the ballpark tonight, however many are watching tonight.
Years and years ago, 35 years ago, the Rangers Gulf Coast League team used 6 pitchers to get one of these, but you know that happens all the time when you're talking about protecting 17 and 18-year-olds. Everybody pitches for an inning or 2, and it just sometimes happens to all kind of slap together. 9 times it has happened in big league history. Young is in on the grass at third. Outfield a little bit to left. And a high fly ball should make it 2 outs away. You got to deal with Orlando Hudson and Joe Mauer. Couple of borderline kind of close calls take you to the 8th inning. This was the one that I really held my breath. That crazy hot Moreland reaching behind him just kind of paddled it down.
And that ball, you could see how much spin that had by how far it deflected away from Moreland on that play. That ball bounced almost 45 degrees the other way. That's how fast it was spinning and how much he had sliced it.
Taken. A strike. I guess you can talk to Rich Harden now, right? Since it's all being done this way.
Yeah.
Tommy Hunter doesn't care either way. That one sports outside. You got a 22-year-old out there on the mound. Trying to safely park this vehicle here. Taken. A strike, 2-2.
I love the smiles on the fans' face.
Again, the umpire is Jim Joyce, who has already quite famously flirted with something like this year. From a different position on the field. Three balls, 2 strikes. Ball 4. Now Joe Mauer, not for nothing, has hit into 18 double plays this year. He is a contact hitter extraordinaire. He has won batting titles 3 of the last 4 seasons.
And I think the thing you can't lose track of as a pitcher right here, that the most significant thing is to win the ball game and to get out of the inning and not let the Twins score 4 runs.
The lead at first for Hudson. There is strike 1 to Mauer. Mauer came in hitting .440 over his last 3 weeks.
It's almost commonplace for Neftali to take one batter before he starts throwing the ball at 97 miles an hour. It happened to Wigginton when he hit the home run, and then after that it was lights out for the Orioles. After that last pitch by Mauer at 97 miles an hour.
Elvis can't get it. A base hit on 0-2. It spoils it with just 2 outs left to get.
Again, there's a hit, and now bear down and get him out. And remember that the biggest thing is to win the ball game.
Boy, Elvis gave it everything he had. An 0-2 pitch. It wasn't even a strike. It skips off the mound. Oh, and just beyond the dive of Andrews.
And if he caught it, he might have been able to get the force out at second base. Wouldn't have been able to throw Mauer out, but might have gotten the force out.
Boy, and right after that happens, now looky here, in a wild pitch.
Yeah, that's the only thing you don't have now is a force out, but those 2 runs don't matter. You need to get, for the Twins to tie the game, the guy in the on-deck circle has to score. So don't even worry about the guys on base. Just bear down and get the hitter.
Now, it would have been something that would have been talked about for a long time. 4 different pitchers trying to make history in Arlington tonight, but the no-hitter is now, we know, not going to happen. And with Nolan Ryan watching on, we've told the story so many times about how close Nolan came to having not 7 no-hitters, but in the teens in terms of no-hitters. The number of one-hitters that he had, the number that were broken up in the 8th or the 9th. So he can relate. Rangers almost had a combined no-hitter 7 or 8 years ago in Baltimore. That was a game where Aaron Mayette was ejected after 2 pitches. Todd Van Poppel pitched. Joaquin Benoit came on. It was 8 1/3 innings of no-hit ball, just like tonight. And then Jerry Hairston Jr. for Baltimore tripled. There is strike 3.
That's a good pitch. And the more Neftali can do that, the tougher he will be to throw something other than his fastball. Good slider. Kubel knows it's strike 3, but he's geared up at 90 for a 97-mile-an-hour fastball. Instead, he gets the off-speed pitch, and all he can do is look at it, and he knows it's strike 3. Just say, nice pitch, kid.
The shutout still a possibility. Feliz hums it in there. Tag, history shows that when you enter the 9th inning with a no-hitter, it's a 50-50 shot. Once you get 1 out, it goes to about 60%. 2 out, you got an 80% shot. But that's where it stalled tonight, was at that 60%. The Rangers unfortunately got into that 40% where it didn't happen. On an 0-2 count.
Well, you hate to see that just because of how happy the fans would be. But it's a lot different if one pitcher is out there trying to do it.
Now here it is. It'll be a 1-hit shutout for the Rangers. Almost a slice of history tonight. But what you sure do appreciate is Rich Harden. On a night where he had to be good, he was actually great. And the Rangers strike first in this big 4-game series with Minnesota. Let's not forget, kind of eye on the prize here, Thomas. A chance to go 9 games up on the Angels.
Well, that is the prize. The prize is to win the division and win as many games as you can and come out of here with a win. The other side lights are great, but the big thing is the Rangers got to win.
Boy, Elvis Andrews came so close to knocking that one down. But Joe Mauer, we mentioned, a guy that's won 3 batting titles already and has been hotter than blazes of late. He comes through on 2 strikes. And it ends up being a one-hitter tonight. Still a memorable night at the ballpark. Rangers Live is coming up. We'll recap it for you in just a little bit. First, we're going to send it out to John and Mac, and they'll preview for a little bit on the set.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Josh, we might as well set a water cooler up right here because there are so many water cooler topics to cover in this one. Mark McLemore, the first of which is